Welcome to the Tortured Poets Department. Taylor Swift's 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets Department, is coming out in about 2 hours, but I thought before I listened to it, I could tell you a little bit about what I'm currently reading, do a mini book haul, because in my heart, this is a dark academia album. I feel like people know this about me. I am a dark academia girly to my core, not actually living a dark academia life because I'm not in academia and I don't commit crimes, but I love the vibe of dark academia and I have for years. I made the decision to film this start bit without my glasses. I can't see. Let me go put those on. So if any of that was out of focus, sorry, I couldn't tell. My vision's way worse than I think. But stick around for my initial thoughts on the album. I don't think I'm going to do a live reaction. There might be a few little clips, but listening to new music for the first time can be a bit of a difficult experience for me. So yeah, for now, let's talk about these books. I never usually do like online orders for books, but there was a book I wanted to pre-order, so I did, and I picked up some others that I've been looking for a long time, and I'm so excited to have them right now. So let's talk about them. The first is the book that I pre-ordered, and that is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This just came out. I've read a few pages of it. I love Leigh Bardugo. Speaking of, not to jump back to what I was talking about before, I love dark academia, right? I really dislike when people call things dark academia when they very much are not. I like dark academia. I like dressing in a way that's vaguely dark academia. Look at what I'm wearing right now. You can't really see it. I've got these like houndstooth pants. I have a pocket watch on me right now because that's just who I am, I guess. I basically live in turtlenecks. I love the vibes, but Six of Crows is not a dark academia book. I keep seeing people say that and I just do not understand it. Six of Crows is one of my favorite books, like of all time. It is dark, it is not academia. But anyway, one of these books is one that I feel like people class as dark academia. It's not, it's academia, kind of. It's set partly in an academic setting. Anyway, back to The Familiar. This book takes place in Spain's Golden Age. I don't know exactly when that is. My mind is saying around the 1500s. That could be completely untrue, I'm not sure. I've read like 2 pages, so I don't know really what's going on yet. Lovely Bardugo. The vibes of this book are also just fantastic. It's just so pretty. But these other 2 books are not new releases. In fact, one of them was written in 1913 to 1914. I'm very intrigued by this book and the context around it being written and published, and that is Maurice, or Morris, by E.M. Forster. Like I said, this book was written between 1913 and 1914, but wasn't published until the 70s after the author had died. I think this is an incredibly interesting book. I've not read it, I've watched the movie, but what's interesting to me is the context. This is one that I've also seen referred to as dark academia. It's not dark though, it's just partially set at a college. I think this might be like the first classic that I actually finish. My cat is running around like crazy right now. I feel like once I read this, I might make a video on it, or I'll just discuss it at length in a wrap-up. I've been looking for this book for so long. Every time I'm in a bookstore, every time I'm in an op shop, I wanted to get it secondhand because it is a classic and I typically try and get all of them secondhand, but I couldn't find it anywhere, and no bookstore anywhere near me actually stock it. You have to get it special ordered, and so I just did it online. And the last book is one I was interested in reading. I had heard a few people talking about it, and I've been interested for a while in reading epistolary novels. Epistolary? Epistolary. Novels made up of letters. And so I picked up Love Letters, Virginia Woolf, and Vida Sackville West. I am very interested in this. This is the one I've read the most of. I've read 10 pages. I think there is something intriguing about reading historical figures' letters, mostly because it's kind of like gossip with no like repercussions. I am not a gossipy person, but reading people's diaries and letters is wildly interesting. I think both of these women held such a particular place in society. I just think it's very interesting. But those are the books I recently picked up. I am going to go and just potter around until the album comes out. Should I share some of my like before thoughts. Okay, it comes out in exactly 2 hours. The first single is Fortnight with Post Malone. There was just a visual released for it, which I think is incredibly interesting. It's all black and white. I know black and white is like the album kind of theme, but very intriguing. Some of the like looks are just cool. Anyway, I've never really listened to Post Malone. I don't really know any of his stuff. But yeah, it's really exciting that there are collaborations with Florence and the Machine. This is a win for the girlies, you know? I always like to claim a song before an album comes out, just based on vibes. I think I Can Do It With a Broken Heart will be good, and The Alchemy. I love like alchemy as a theme in things, the idea of it all. My mind does go to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, to be completely honest, and the type of alchemy being done in that book. But I can't believe this album's coming out already. It's such a different vibe to everything she's done before, and so I'm just really intrigued. Also, some of the songs are quite long, and I love that. I love a long song. So, to pick a single claim, Down Bad could be interesting also. Part of me wants to claim the Tortured Poets department. So Long London could be good too. That's reminding me of Come Back Be Here, and I have some feelings tied to that song. Guilty as Sin, ? Also sounds very intriguing. The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, that sounds good. You know what, I might claim, oh, I don't know how to claim just one. I'm claiming The Alchemy. I'm doing it there, stamping it in. The Alchemy is my claim. We'll see. I always do my before album claim, my first listen claim, and then my like... By claim, I do just mean favorite, but you can't really have a favorite before it's out. That's why I call it a claim. But yeah, I typically have 3 separate ones. Before the album came out, on my first listen, and then my long-term favorite. I will see you in 2 hours, and we'll see how the album goes, I guess. Exciting. Ah! Okay. It's 2 o'clock. Let's see if it's out. Oh, I get so nervous. Okay, Fortnight is out. I was supposed to be sent away, 'cause your wife waters flowers. I wanna kill her. Oh, much I touched you. Who is that? Typewriter at my apartment, straight from the Tortured Poets department. I think so. Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. I scratch a tattooed golden retriever. But you awaken when we go again. The voices in his head call the rain to end. Show me that this world is bigger than us. My back waking up in blood. I just learned these people try and save you, 'cause they hate you. All those nights you kept me going, turned you into all of my poems. Wait up in that porch light, please. And my friends all smell like weed or little babies. In Florida. Oh, this is good. So that was the album. Turns out it's a double album. Meow. I guess I'm gonna go listen to this now. I don't even know what to say about this album. I mean, these two albums. Is it one very long album or two albums? I can't believe I listened to it. I don't have any thoughts right now. It's dark now. Oh my god. Well, that was quite an interesting turn of events. There have been double album theories for the last many drops that Taylor has done, and it finally actually happened, and I kind of can't believe it. I have listened to the Tortured Poets Department 2 times, when it first came out, and then once more, and I can say confidently, this is an album that's going to take time. I was a little bit lukewarm on my first listen. I feel bad saying that, but it's just the truth. But already on my second listen, I'm enjoying it so much more. And whenever I'm hearing clips of it on TikTok, I'm having a great time. So I think this is one of those albums that just needs to take a second. I think because there are so many new songs, I haven't been able to just like hear them all properly yet. It's a lot and it's a little overwhelming. So these are just initial thoughts. These are not my like long-term feelings. That's going to take a while to settle in. But I have my notebook. Let's begin. The song opens on Fortnight featuring Post Malone, and it has very particular vibes, something I'm always looking for in music, and that is the feeling of like driving through or out of a city late at night. I don't really know how else to describe that. It's just, there are certain songs that feel like kind of city lights in the darkness, and that's what I felt when I heard this song. I mentioned earlier I don't really listen to any Post Malone. I will say he has beautiful vocals. I guess I never thought about it much, but he has a very beautiful voice and his backing vocals to this song were great. One of my notes for this song was just, I want a Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo style tell-all about this woman. And I stand by that. I want to have like the tell-all. I know it's none of our business, but I think it would be fun. I did write in my notes kind of my feelings about the perceived relationships that she's writing about. I don't think I'm going to talk about that because I really do feel like it's none of our business, even though like yes, it's happening publicly, but I will say there is one relationship that she refers to a lot in this album that was a short-lived thing that really affected her. I have very strong feelings about the supposed love interest and his history, but I'm not going to talk about that. I wrote down 2 lyrics from this song, and those are, "Your wife waters flowers, I want to kill her," because I thought that just felt very dark academia. And the other was, "I love you, it's ruining my life." I'm realizing I'm going to have to speed up a little bit if I'm going to get through all of these songs, so we're going to kind of not spend so much time on each one. Also, I just saw the music video to Fortnight. It was really good, really beautiful visuals. Anyway, the next song was the Tortured Poets Department, and my first note was a reference to a fictional character. The line "tattooed golden retriever" really reminded me of a character, and as soon as I heard it, I did pull my phone out to text a friend and be like, oh my god, it's about him. Which obviously it's not about him, but to me it is. If you're curious, I was talking about Evan Buckley. I really didn't love the very toxic, like, if you leave me, I'll, you know, do something bad. On my first listen, I thought it was just that he was saying that. On the second listen, I realized she was saying it back. So like both of them were just in this really weird place, and I don't know how I feel about that. I do know how I feel about it. I don't like it. I think it does kind of sum up that burned bright, burned fast, burned out kind of vibe around that relationship. I think the whole thing was a bit yikes, but I liked the song. The next song was My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, which is a real mouthful of a title. I love long song titles. She's a doll, she's being put on the shelf, you know, we've been there. I actually really love that as a theme and kind of a metaphor. I think is really interesting. The line, once I fix me, he's gonna miss me, was very interesting to me. I liked that a lot. Also, stole my tortured heart, left all these broken parts. Nice line. I have a note. And again, this is maybe just a me thing, but the chorus is good. I want to party hearing this like in a dark room with flashing lights and my best friends. So like, that's another like type of song to me. Like the kind of song that would be in a movie and like the scene is like in slow motion and everyone's like jumping to the music and there's like flashing lights and it's dark. That's what this song felt like to me. I felt very seen and also like she was coming for me with the line, he saw forever so he smashed it up. Stop reading my diary, Taylor. Next up we have Down Bad, and this morning I was on TikTok and saw 3 edits of the same fictional characters to this song within 5 minutes. So this song does belong to Buddy now, like I don't make the rules, that's just how it is. It's because of the line about the gym, like I'm down bad crying at the gym or something. Listen, my notes for this song are a little disjointed. I initially thought it had kind of Reputation vibes. This song to me feels like she really didn't like that she wasn't able to like be public about her previous relationship. She felt forever about that relationship and wasn't allowed to like make that known and then was like left behind. And I think that kind of scarred her. The line, how dare you think it's romantic leaving me safe and stranded? Very interesting. On my first listen, I was very curious about how they were going to pull off a clean version, and I think they did it really well. I listened to that and thought it was pretty good. It worked far better than I anticipated. I love when any art references like space and like cosmic energy and stuff, so I had a good time with this song. I love the kind of idea that love made her feel like an alien. Yeah, overall, fun song. Next we have So Long London, and on my first listen I thought this was going to be my favourite song from the album. I immediately wanted to put it on my writing playlist. It just has those vibes. It had that kind of Midnight's production vibe, and I don't know enough about music to be able to like talk about it properly, but the melody had a really good rhythm. I don't really know how to like describe what I'm talking about. I think it's really interesting that like, I feel like people are going to kind of turn against her a little bit for this one theme that runs through the album, and that's that her ex was depressed and she was kind of mad about it. Like, I think it's like a fine line to walk to talk about that kind of thing, but in this song in particular it looks like he was depressed and trying to like pull her down with him. So yeah, obviously like mental illness is very serious, but we don't actually know what was going on, so I'm gonna stay out of it for now. Next up is But Daddy I Love Him, and this was so fun. I think this song's great. This is the one that has been in my head lately. Like, it's the only one I can really remember enough to have in my head. But if you know me, you know I am a sucker for religious imagery and like Catholic guilt vibes. The line, I'm having his baby, no I'm not, but you should see your faces, was insane to hear for the first time. The idea of like the dutiful daughter, I feel like this song is like for the girlies. I thought the bridge had Red vibes. I think overall this song has like the vibes of previous albums because it's doing that like, oh, I'm a girl in a small town kind of thing. I feel like this song is a movie from the 2000s. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. The idea of like small town, preacher's daughter almost, and like with the bad boy and everyone's like, do not go there, but she is anyway. And like that kind of rebelliousness that comes with kind of being so watched over. I do feel like a little bit uncomfortable about the fact that this song is very certain that the stance she's taking is, I heard what everyone was saying about the fact that this guy's not a good guy, but I don't care, I love him. I understand being in love. However, there are certain things that we probably shouldn't just ignore, like a very serious history of racism and saying like horrible stuff very constantly. If I can try and ignore the context, it's a really fun song. And I want to get to the point where like I'm associating the song with like fictional characters or something so that I don't have to think about like the real world person it was about. Next was Fresh Out the Slammer. This song was interesting, kind of Western vibes. My first thought was I can't wait to see edits to this song, and I can tell you I have seen a fair share of edits to this song already. I was very shocked by how many allusions to like weddings and children were in this album. It was like a near constant. I don't know if it's her wanting that, because last album it was Don't Tell Me I'm Meant to Be Married. I feel like maybe she was in a relationship where her partner didn't want marriage, and so she convinced herself she didn't want it, but she actually does, and now she's just constantly talking about it. I picked up a reference that may have been like a Halsey reference, and I'm very curious about that, especially the potential love interest being who it is. Grey and Blue and Fights and Tunnels feels like a reference to Colours by Halsey. I remember the day that Badlands came out. I loved that album. Anyway, we're not talking about Halsey right now. I really liked the kind of change of tempo at the end. That was fun. Moving on to Florida. Oh my god. This might be one of the best songs on the album. I don't know, maybe I'm biased because Florence and the Machine. But my first note is Florence, I want you in everything. I want every song to have Florence. Yeah. That's just that entire thought. My next note was, damn, I want to go bury my regrets in Florida. I don't want to be in Florida. No part of me has ever wanted to go to Florida. But like the idea of going to a place to just get rid of it all, to like probably make bad choices, just like get it all out, you know? I thought the production on this song was very good. There are so many songs to talk about. I feel like I'm gonna be here forever. I know I'm really like rushing through, but there just are so many songs. Next up is Guilty as Sin. I am not going to lie to you. My very first thought listening to this song was, wow, there are so many fanfiction titles in the lyrics of these songs. Like, I just know AO3 is just gonna be full of it. I wrote down a few lyrics. He's written mine on my upper thigh in my mind. I think that's the line. I may have written it down wrong. If that's not a fanfiction, I don't know what is. I was talking about like the Catholic guilt before, but what if I roll the stone away? They're gonna crucify me anyway. Is Taylor Jesus? I know, I've seen the jokes, I've seen the edits, but what? Like, I understand the metaphor and all that, but on my second listen, my first note was name of supposed muse must have some kind of killer riz. I don't understand the appeal of that man, but he like has to have something going on, right? And like there are lyrics and I'm like, damn, you know what, that would probably get me too. But wow, do I want to read this next note? I did write the note that the bridge has Let Me Be Horny on Main energy. That is this song, I think. I think that's what Taylor's going for. I also said, I just have a note that says Eddie Diaz because I guess I'm assigning songs to characters already. Okay, next, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? This song is so good. You Don't Get to Tell Me About Sad is such a good lyric. I did see a video where supposedly someone was saying that to her at a restaurant. I don't know if that was real or not, but if it is, that's incredible. I like the kind of darker vibes of this song. It feels like that idea of like, you made me this way and you hate me. There is a line in a song and I cannot think of what it is. It's like, you made me this way or something. I was looking it up, I couldn't find what I was talking about. She has been watched and like in the public eye since she was a teenager, and that's gotta have some kind of like psychological effect, and she's like biting back. Like she was the kind of nice girl for so long, and like this song feels like she's ready to like bite. I have seen a lot of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes edits to this song and I love it. Next is I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. Can you though? My first note is the BookTok girlies are gonna love this one. Listen, we've all read a book and fallen in love with the villain. It happens. We've been there. I also just wrote down good omens. Just the line, just good omens. I can't remember what specific lyric I was referring to. But yeah, the way the song title is constructed does remind me of a certain band that would be relevant here. Anyway, the bridge does make me feel unhinged. There have been so many songs about how she doesn't care that he's bad and she doesn't care what anyone says, but then like the very end of this song is like, oh, maybe I can't fix him. Oops. We then have LOML. Going into it, I think most people assumed we were talking about love of my life. Oh boy, we were not. The punch at that like final like loss of my life, oof, that was rough. I really love like every song that has a piano in it on this album. I feel like she was like completely infatuated. There's a line about like one kiss to a marriage or something. The idea that like she was instantly all in, and then like the love bombing that happened is insane, and the fact that it happened so publicly and now there's like an album about it, it's very interesting. My last note for this song was, and that, kids, is why we need to be aware of love bombing and not fall victim to it. So yeah, and maybe if all your friends are telling you that a guy is like probably not good, maybe listen, maybe. And then we have the wonderful I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. The line, I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday every day, is written just for me. I don't know if I've ever had a birthday that I haven't cried on. Like maybe this year, maybe, but like yeah, I cry every birthday. My birthday is like the worst day of the year. So good. It's like so depressing, the lyrics, but then the vibes are so fun and it's like I'm so sad but we are partying. I did write the line, "Cause I'm miserable and no one even knows." And my comment was just, baby, go to therapy. Taylor has talked about how she's like, she proudly has never been to therapy. And I have very strong feelings about that. Like even if she's not like doing bad, like talk to someone. Like, oh my god. But yeah, I just kind of thought like, imagine going on tour and you're performing every night and you have to look like you're having the best time of your life and you're actually completely falling apart. Insane. I love the constant like counting, the like 1, 2, 3, because it's constantly like the cameras are rolling over and over and over again. I cry a lot, but I'm so productive. It's an art. Again, just go to therapy. It's got the energy of that like unhinged, delusional state you get into when like everything is going so poorly and you feel so bad that you can't help but like cackle. So yeah, it was so fun. Next we have The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. I think it's so funny. I know she probably doesn't only mean it in terms of his height, but I think it's so funny. For years she's had this thing about how like she feels like someone's trying to kill her, and this song really feels like that. Like she wanted her hot girl summer and then he ruined it. And then she's like just paranoid that like everyone's out to get her, and like same. The line, "I would have died for your sins, instead I just died inside," really made me think of like the way his reputation kind of brought her down for a while there. Next was The Alchemy, and this was my claim, and unfortunately it is not my favorite from the album. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like this on the first listen, but I've seen some fan edits for a few different fictional characters and it's growing on me. There are a lot of like drug references throughout the whole album. This song is no different. I enjoyed the vibes of this song. There is the line, "But I'm making a comeback to where I belong." And I think that like, I don't know, it just made me think about the fact that in that long relationship she was in, like she got into that when her reputation was the lowest. It's like that whole era, and things seemed to fall apart once everyone loved her again. So now she's like back, she's on stage, she's performing, and she gets to be with someone who isn't afraid of that. And the last song from what I thought was all of what we were getting is Clara Bow. I wasn't sure what to expect for this song. I really loved that like final name drop of like, "You look like Taylor Swift." I think it's devastating because of this idea of like Taylor Swift the person and Taylor Swift the artist. Yeah, I can't decide on whether I think that is someone saying it to her or a different artist, but I really like the kind of style of the guitar sound. I know nothing about music. It scratches an itch in my brain. But like, this song to me feels like kind of her looking at the fact that when she was young, all she wanted was to be famous, to be an artist. And now she's there and she's like, oh, she's had that for so long now. And it's kind of like, oh, this is actually like very lonely and it's not what I thought and the people around me suck. That's kind of what I get. Maybe I'm projecting that onto it because I love that theme in media. A lot of the books I like are like people kind of get what they want and realize it's not actually what they want. That was the initial album. On my first listen, my favourite song was So Long London. I do think that's probably changing. I'm not going to select a different one, but for now, that's that. And so that was the first album. And then, like 2 hours later, like an hour after I finished listening to the first one, I was about to go and listen to it again, and she released a whole other album. So yes, I have my notes. These notes are definitely less kind of thought out. I've spent more time with the first album than the second, but let's begin. The first song is called The Black Dog. This was one of the tracks that was a bonus song on one of the vinyl. Listen, there is a fandom that I am not in. It's one I dabbled in when I was a teenager. I cannot support that fandom. The author is a horrible person. But there is a fanfiction that exists that has its own fandom around it. I have not read it. It is like so long. But there are these theories that Taylor Swift is the author of this fanfiction, and this song is like really going hard in that direction. I really enjoyed this song. I straight away said it might be my favorite. I think I may have enjoyed this more than the first album. I really don't know. I haven't listened to it enough to have solid thoughts yet. I really, really loved the line, "Old habits die screaming." I think maybe it reminded me of Innocence Died Screaming, like Hosier. Maybe that's what my mind is going to. I don't actually know. But this song did one thing in particular, and it made me want to write. I enjoy writing. My current work in progress is just sitting there. I have abandoned it a little bit, but this song like filled me with that creative energy. It's like so good to find something that does that. Next is I'm Gonna Get You Back. I think there is some drama going down. On my first listen, I was like, the title reminds me of another song. I realized on my second listen that's by Olivia Rodrigo. Drama, drama, drama. On my first listen, I realized that there was like there was a line in the song, maybe when she was saying the title, and it was reminding me of a song and I couldn't work out like what it was, and my initial thought was maybe it was Meet You There by 5 Seconds of Summer. I did realize this morning that it reminds me of Plum by Troye Sivan, which is like a random one. I don't know where I pulled that from. That album is so good. Anyway, I love Troye Sivan. I think that there are a lot of similarities between this song and some of Olivia Rodrigo's stuff, and I think that that was very intentional on Taylor Swift's part, but I think it's a little bit, I'm not gonna say evil, but like it's a decision after the drama that went down with like all of that. So at this point, my brain was honestly like so overwhelmed. I was not thinking very much, and I've not given this a proper second listen, the rest of it. So the thoughts that we're getting are very sparse and not very deep. So, The Albatross. My first thought was that it kind of had the vibes of Cowboy Like Me, and like I stand by that. And it was just like a very pleasant song. I liked it. A lot of like literary reference, I guess. But yeah, fun. Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. I have thoughts about this song. And I don't know if I'm going to share them. I don't know like the context of who she was with or who this is about or anything like that. There was a Maroon reference that I picked up on because Maroon is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. But I do have thoughts about this, but I'm not going to share it because I haven't listened to it enough to know if I'm even in the right direction, and I don't want to open that conversation up without knowing where I stand. Next is How Did It End? This was another song with piano. I really do love like every song with a bit of piano. And this really made me feel like Taylor is starting to dislike her position in society. Like, she worked so hard to get there and now she seems like, I don't know, it feels like there's some resentment there. But this was another song where she's like mourning this relationship in a very intense way. My throat hurts from talking so much about this album. Okay, then we have So High School. And I think the song is fun. I just feel really weird about like grown adults writing songs about high school, and I know it's like a metaphor, but it just feels a bit weird to me. I don't know, it just makes me a little bit uncomfortable. The vibes of the song are fun, but there are a few lines that I couldn't help but feel like a bit icky about. Whatever the line was, I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I'm out. This is where I draw the line. I get the idea that it's meant to be like she's like in love like a teenager and like she just wants him so much all the time. This song made me a bit uncomfortable. I'm sure it will grow on me, but yeah, I don't know. First listen, I was a bit like weird about it. Then we have I Hate It Here. And my first note is just, the girlies are gonna love this. There's a line that I don't feel fantastic about like, she'd play this game where everyone would choose a decade they wish they lived in, and she'd pick the 1830s but without the racists or the like forced marriage or whatever. I feel like that's, I get what she's going for, but saying like, oh yeah, the 1830s without the racists, like it feels like you really, I don't know, it just feels a bit, I don't know, weird. There's a line, nostalgia is a kind of trick, and I liked that. We then have Thank You Amy with the name Kim in capitals in that title. Love that. I do like that she's still kind of bitter about that whole thing, because I would be too. The idea that Kim's kid likes Taylor's music and she has to like deal with that, fantastic, love it. The fact that she straight up said that she changed the name in the song, like, that's fun. I enjoy that. I like when people write songs about other people and make it very clear who they're singing about. I just think it's a good time as a listener. Then we have I Look in People's Windows. And this was the moment where I was like, there have been so many new songs. I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm listening to. I can't hear anything anymore. I'm so confused. And I just said, I can't wait to listen over and get a better sense of each one. I literally don't have notes on this song because it was just all too much at that point. We then have The Prophecy. Now I remember hearing this one. I don't remember what it sounds like, but this song reminded me of a character from something I'm working on. And so immediately I was like, ooh, I like this one. I really liked the line, but I howl like a wolf at the moon. My camera is about to run out of storage, so we're gonna speed run the rest of this. Okay, The Prophecy. I howl like a wolf at the moon. Great lyric. Love the moon. Love that. A lot of the lyrics that were released before the album came out were from the second album, which I thought was really interesting and didn't notice on my first listen of the first album. And my thought about this song was like, wasn't one of her mum's friends or something a fortune teller and said she was going to be famous? Was that not a thing? I feel like I heard that somewhere. Anyway, we then have Cassandra, which is interesting because wasn't Cassandra a like prophetess or something? I liked the imagery in this song. I think it was really fun. And my thought was that this album is all the stuff she has pretended to move on from and instead has just kind of festered away. So yeah, I liked this song. Then we had Peter, and my thoughts went in 3 different directions. Well, no, kind of 3 different steps. First, I was like, I am going to continue to believe she's writing songs about the Hunger Games, despite the different spelling of the name. To me, this is about the Hunger Games. No. Then I went to Narnia. I was like, is this about Narnia? And then it finally clicked. Peter Pan. Duh. I enjoyed this song. I think I'm gonna have to listen to it a few more times to like really like understand it. But yeah, fun. We then have The Bolter, which was another one of the tracks that we knew about. And it made me think of a book that I read years ago. It's a middle grade called City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. Because of the lines about like falling through the ice and like drowning and stuff, if you've read that book, you know. Also made me think about The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I liked that song. We then have Robin, which I'm going to have to listen to like 1,000 times. I did see a theory that it was about her dad. So like, shh. I feel like there's drama. But I'm gonna stay out of it. This song made me want to cry is my only note, just that I wanted to cry. So then we have the manuscript. Again, another song with piano, loved it. I just have the note, my guy, that's a weird thing to say, but I don't know what that was referring to, something about strollers. Oh, like he made a comment about strollers or something. Weird. I think that dating older men affected her in a way. I like that the last line was basically like, the story's not mine anymore. The last step of creating something is letting it be seen. So yeah, it doesn't belong to her once she releases it. I thought that was a really interesting place to leave it. I cannot believe we have 2 new Taylor Swift albums. Those were my initial thoughts on the Tortured Poets Department and the anthology. I think it's going to grow on me. I think I'm going to love it. I cannot pick a favorite song right now. I cannot think. I need to just go put this on repeat and just absorb it for so long. I need to listen to it for like a week straight before I really have any consistent thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up. Let me know what your favorite song from the album was. You can subscribe. I upload every week, and I will see you next time. Bye.